What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Richful Thinking Podcast. I am your host, Rich Gannum, and today we are going to be jumping in and talking about the buyer consultation, what it is, why it's important, how to use it, different strategies, tips, and tricks that we use to ensure that when we have our buyer's consultation, that they choose to work with us, that we choose to work with them, and that at the end of the day, we are making this process as simple and as smoothly as it possibly can go. And I think I just pulled a President Trump and said smoothly in a context. I'm not even sure that's the right word. But whatever, I digress. Before we jump into this episode of the podcast, we are streaming this on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/Rich Gannum, you will be able to find my mug for 30 minutes talking about the buyer consultation, and we'll be able to go through that as well. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts. Anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, we are here for you so that you can build a better real estate business, better real estate career, have a better real estate life. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead, give us a 5-star review in any of the app stores that you're listening to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Give us a thumbs up in YouTube. However it is that you consume your content, please let us know how we're doing. We put a ton of time and energy and effort into providing a high-quality podcast and episode for you so that you can build and grow your business. Let us know how we're doing. All feedback is great feedback. Going through this buyer consultation, our job as realtors, right, as real estate agents, as salespeople, is to, and I'm going to go back to this over and over again because it's true, and it's how we have to internalize what it is that we do every day. We have to go trick-or-treating. We have to stay in this constant mindset of that 7 to 10-year-old kid, 14-year-old even, on Halloween going trick-or-treating. They don't stop when they get that first piece of candy. They go to the next house and the next house and the next house. They go to all the houses until their bag is filled with candy. Then they dump it out, they sift through it, and then they find the pieces of candy that they like. And in real estate terms, that candy that they like is the candy that we call a lead, a qualified lead that then we need to have a consultation for. On the buyer side, that is a buyer consultation. And on the listing side, we'll go down that road, but that would be your listing consultation, your marketing meeting, whatever you call it, that's what that would be, right? So the goal of our buyer consultation, once we have the leads, we would then need to qualify which leads we want to work with. So that's our opportunity then to sit down with this prospective buyer and to talk about the buyer needs, their wants, an education. Again, it's an educational moment now, and we're going to wrap this into the home buying process because we know that most buyers only are going to buy a home every 5 to 7 years on average. So as a top producing agent, our job is to educate people because that process does change. That process does change. And to some folks, it's 2020. So if it's 5 to 7 years, when we look, that time at 2013 on the long end of 7, it's a little different than it is today. It's a little different. Technology is different. The processes are different. The overall agenda of buying a home, pretty constant, yet the process by which we do things now has changed, right? So then it's the opportunity to explain the service that we provide, to then explain our value that we bring to the transaction. Because most of the time, we don't explain our value. So we can choose to be a door opener, if we allow ourselves to be. We can be a door opener, or we can be a service provider to that client. And then it also gives us a phenomenal opportunity when we sit down to do our buyer consultation. It gives us a great opportunity to explain buyer agency, how that process works, and why a buyer loyalty agreement is so important. And then ultimately to get them to sign that exclusive buyer agreement so that you know that you have a bona fide client rather than a looky-loo or somebody that's going through the motion, going through the process, yet really has no intention on actually buying anything, right? We don't want to work with those people. We want to work with the people that are ready, able, and willing. So we need to go through after we go trick-or-treating, right? We now need to start qualifying and having these consultations. So one of the key pieces here to note, to remember, is that until a buyer is ready to make a move, they don't want to talk to you. I know that hurts. That hurts, right? Like until somebody's actually ready to move, until they're ready to go look in a house, they don't want to talk to us. They don't. 98, 99% of all buyers start their home search online, right? Yet it's only when they're ready to go look at a home do they actually respond to our emails, our text messages, our phone calls, whatever it is. The rest of the time that we're communicating with them, we're just trying to get, like, we either want you to say, like, stop talking to me, or not yet, or give me some piece of information to help make this process better. Yet most people are going to start looking for a home 6 months before they actually step foot inside. 6 months. So we have a lot of work to do between the moment that they say, yes, I'm thinking about moving, and now I'm ready to go inside. 6 months is a long time. So if we're not doing our job and giving our value, we're a door opener. And we'll get paid as a door opener. So like one of the foundational questions that I like to use here is how do you accomplish your goals in the buyer consultation, right? How do you accomplish your goals? How do you help people see the value that you provide so that when it's time to sign the agreement, it's no questions, right? Like, give me, here's a pen, sign, right? So we're going to do this by using scripts that give the buyers the information they're looking for about the property and about the process, but at the same time, we want to enable us as agents to get enough about the buyer and their wants and needs that we can demonstrate our value before they choose to eliminate us, right? So through the scripting of our consultation and our conversation, we're going to gather the information that we need for the buyer, and we're going to give them the information they're looking for so that we're a valuable piece of the process, and that when they're ready, we get the call, okay? That's really how this process goes. And, there's I don't like using scripts, and that sounds cheesy. That doesn't sound like me. I don't care. We use scripts every single day. We use tie downs every single day. The goal here is to go on a fact-finding mission and to lead the conversation so that when we get to their desired result, we get what we want and they get what they want. It's more about them getting what they want and us guiding the conversation. And so that along the way, we ultimately get what we want. That's really what it is, right? Let's just call it what it is. That's what it is. We're on a fact-finding mission, helping them get what they want so that in the process, we get what we want. If we can get the appointment for the buyer consultation, we are more than likely to get that buyer to agree to work with us. If we can't get the buyer to sit down and have a buyer consultation, the chances are we don't want to work with them anyways. Chances are we don't even want to be part of the conversation. Because if they're not willing to take 30 minutes to sit down with me so that I can show them exactly what they're looking for, gather all that information, present my value, so that we're not looking at 20, 30, 40 homes and wasting their time, they're not ready. Because at the end of the day, I can't work with 100 different buyers. At the end of the day, I don't have the bandwidth to continue down that path because I need to work with people that are ready and willing and able to buy homes and that are ready, willing, and able to go. So we're going to ask the right questions. and asking the right questions. This buyer consultation is designed so that when you sit down with the buyer or buyers, you're going to learn everything you need to know about them, what they want, what they need, what they must have, what's on their wish list, right? We're also going to learn their motivation, their timeline, if they're working with another agent, why they're moving, if they need to sell a home before they can buy, if they even need to sell a home, what their price range is, how they came up with that price range, and most importantly, if you want to work with them. See, not only are they interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. This is just as much about you as it is about them. And we need to ensure that as we go down this opportunity, that we classify these buyers into 3 different groups. In this buyer consultation, the goal is to classify our buyers into 3 different groups on our end. We have A buyers, B buyers, and C buyers. A buyers are ready, able, and willing to purchase. And it's only a matter of weeks before they go under contract. Your B buyer, they're ready and willing, but they just might not be able to right now. Something has to happen first. Maybe they have to sell their current home. Their lease has to expire. They need to get cash out of their retirement or their tax refund or something. B buyers are pretty simple. Something has to happen in order for them to be able to go. So we have our A buyers that are ready, able, and willing. We have our B buyers that are ready, willing, and not yet able. And then we have our C buyers who really are in no hurry. There is no immediate need for them to buy a home. They may have a situation where they can sell a property for a specific price or get on a specific street, or they're looking for something very, very specific, a diamond in the rough. Maybe these folks aren't ready to go just yet, and eventually, if it happens, they'll move. These might be like the make me move buyers. Based on your qualification, your follow-up here is going to vary, right? When your A buyer calls or emails or texts and said, hey, 123 Main Street just came on the market, get them in the car and go see that property immediately, right? That's how we're qualifying an A buyer. Your B buyer, you're going to identify what needs to happen first, and then we're going to help them achieve their goal. We're going to put them in the database, put them on a touch campaign based on their interests. We're going to keep in touch with them throughout the process. And when they're able, then we run. Your C buyer, we're going to put them on an electronic touch campaign, right? We're going to make sure that we keep top of mind for when they're ready to make a move. These are the people that we might meet, these C buyers, these are the people that we might meet that naturally something has to happen. The dream house on the dream street has to come available. And we just keep in touch. We keep in touch. So in our consultation, after we talk about A buyers, B buyers, and C buyers, we're going to ask them, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, based on the 3 types of buyers that we know are out there, A buyers, B buyers, and C buyers, what are you? Let them tell you what they are. Chances are they know. Our job now is to then go, okay, these are the 3 buyers. Which one are you? Thank you. And now I need to take you from there. Right? Because what we're doing is through this process, we're taking our buyers and showing them here's how the process works. So that when we dig into the consultation itself, it lays this up. It lays this up. So once we get into the consultation, it's important that we know and that we explain to our buyer that this is all about you. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this appointment is all about you. It's all about your wants, your needs, your dreams, your questions, your finances. This whole thing is not about me. My job is to help you achieve your goals. My job is to help you achieve your goals. And in doing this, here's what you're going to get from me. You're going to get the market knowledge. You're going to get my experience. You're going to get my negotiation skills. You're going to get a personalized home tour that matches your goals so that when we're out showing property, we're not looking at homes that aren't what you're looking for. We're only looking at the best homes that meet your goals and your needs. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you're also going to get access to properties as soon as they hit the market. Yes, we know that you're searching online and oftentimes you're looking at a website that might not have been updated in a few hours. So that would put you behind the eight ball. When you choose to work with me and that I choose to work with you, you're going to get access to the properties that are most important to you as soon as they hit the market. You're also going to get my extended network of trusted professionals that are here to help and guide you along the way. In my network are mortgage professionals, surveyors, title companies, home inspectors, home improvement specialists, anything that you're going to need along the path to home ownership. You get access to my extended network so that when you need something, you don't have to search for it. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, the process by which we're going to go through this, there's really 9 different steps here. Not all of them are in depth, yet there's 9, and I want to take you through those 9. Step number 1 is to choose the right real estate agent. Once you choose the right real estate agent, and we hope to do that today, we're going to go through the pre-approval process. Now, in the pre-approval process, you're going to have an opportunity to meet with a loan officer who's going to go over all of your financial information and to help you decide the best purchase price for you. Oftentimes, buyers get pre-approved for more than they're willing to spend, and that's okay. The goal of the pre-approval process is to show you all your options so that you're making a comfortable decision and so that you're not getting in over your head. Once you're pre-approved, we then start the home search. And we're only going to look at the best homes that are on the market. The homes that you've identified are your needs and your wants. Not any of the homes that we've eliminated based on the things that won't work for what you're looking for. Once we go through the home process, we're then going to say yes to the address. Once we choose the home that you're going to buy or that you're going to make an offer on, that's when I go to work for you into the trenches. That's when I help you form your offer, and then I then go to work and negotiate on your behalf to ensure that you're getting the best home at the lowest price with the least amount of headaches. After we go under contract, we then perform all our inspections. Oftentimes, buyers choose to perform a home inspection. Maybe we want to do a radon inspection or a wood-destroying insect inspection. All of those we'll discuss at the time of putting in the offer based on the home that we're choosing. Once we go through the inspection process, we then go through the mortgage loan process. Oftentimes, the mortgage loan process and the inspection process can take place at the same time. If you're obtaining a mortgage, we're going to go through the appraisal, and that's where the bank is going to assess a value to that property to ensure that you're not buying a home that you shouldn't be. Oftentimes, and as history can show us, is that there were times when a buyer was buying a home for more than the home was worth. The appraisal makes sure and protects you from overpaying for a property. Once we go through that loan process, it's then time for closing. That's where you're going to sign a whole bunch of papers that are then going to give you access to the home, and we're going to file that deed with the county, and we're actually going to go back to the home. We're going to take a picture with you in front of it, and I'm actually going to ask you to write a 5-star review because those reviews are the lifeblood of my business. I'm also going to ask you for referrals throughout this process. Who you know that's looking to buy or sell a home. And then I'm going to welcome you home. And then through that, we're going to help you move. We're going to get you all to make sure your utilities are turned on, and we're going to make sure that everything is squared away, and we're going to welcome you home. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, having gone through that process and explained the home buying process to you, I need to explain how I work for you. Now, this is going to be the part in the buyer consultation that most people skip. Most people in the buyer consultation, they're going to skip how this works. And depending on what state you're in, here in Ohio, we have a consumer guide to agency relationships where it explains the different forms of agency, how buyers can work with, how agents can work with buyers, how agents can work with sellers, how there's dual agency. Every state's different, so trust your state and trust your brokerage here. Yet in Ohio, where I'm at, we have the Consumer Guide to Agency Relationships. It's at this point where I can now start to solidify the value that I'm going to bring. It's now in this process that I'm going to be able to sit with my buyer in the consultation and say, there are people that only work for the seller. There are people that are going to work for the buyer and the seller. And there are people that are only going to work for the buyer in the transaction. Now, when you choose to work with me, I am going to represent you to the highest level of the law. You will become my fiduciary, and you're going to get the very best representation you can. Isn't that what you want when you choose to hire a real estate agent when you purchase your home? Of course, yes, absolutely. I'm then going to transition from the consumer guide, where I've now solidified my value in working with that buyer. I'm going to then transition this right into the buyer's agreement. The exclusive buyer's agreement is what we call it here. You might call it something different in your state. Yet this is the buyer loyalty agreement. In this agreement, it's where I'm going to then get them to, because they've seen the value that I provide, we're then going to agree that we're going to work together. My script for that is pretty simple. What we're going to do now is sign the buyer representation agreement, which puts me to work for you. This is you giving me the tool that I need to represent you in your purchase. With this tool, I have the opportunity to negotiate for you and get you the best deal. And getting the best deal is important to you, isn't it? Perfect. Well, then let's do the right thing. Let's sign this agreement and let's put me to work for you so that you get your home for the least amount of money in the fastest amount of time with the least amount of headaches. That's how I position it. After I explaining to it, well, how much does it cost to work with you? 99% of the time, it's free. Great. This form allows me to represent you, to look out for you and your best interests, and here's how we take care of that. You just need to be okay with this agreement right here. Boom, done, signed. See, most agents, they're afraid to have this buyer's agreement signed because, oh my goodness, what if they don't want to work with me? Great. That's a good thing. It's a good thing if they don't want to work with you, and it's a great thing if they do. We just need to come to an agreement that we're either going to or we're not going to. Another one of the scripts that I use for the tie down here with the buyers for the buyer's agreement is this. I say something to the effect of, we call this agreement our loyalty agreement, where I agree to be loyal to you and take no action detrimental to your best interests. It's a reciprocal agreement in that I ask you to give me the same loyalty that I'm giving to you in exchange for me working nonstop to find you the best home at the lowest price in the least amount of time. Would you agree that it's beneficial for us to work together? Great. No problem. See, if we make it a big deal, chances are that they might make it a big deal too, and that they might get concerned and they might freak out. Yet if we're confident in explaining it, and if we're confident in knowing the value that we bring, then yeah, you're going to present this. If you're a door opener, probably won't present it, and that's cool. If you want to be a door opener, totally cool. If you want to work with me, we're signing the buyer loyalty agreement. Because I'm not a door opener. I provide value. And in providing value, I need to be strong enough in my conviction as a real estate professional. I need to be strong enough in my ability to present the value I'm bringing to the transaction so that when they're ready to purchase with me, that there's an agreement, that it's mutual, that I'm going to work for you, you want to work with me, great, let's shake hands, let's get to work. The buyer consultation is super easy. This process is super easy. We internalize it and make it more challenging than it needs to be. And oftentimes in doing this, we don't bring out the buyer's agreement. The goal of the buyer's consultation is to outline the process, outline how we work, our job for our buyer, and to get the agreement. Those are really the 3 or 4 things that we need to do in this process. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. By choosing not to use the buyer consultation, we're making our jobs harder. We're not guaranteeing a paycheck, and we're working harder than we need to. Because at any given moment, at any given time, we can only work with 5 to 7 buyers. Yet if we're running from house to 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 open up a door for somebody that's not even loyal to us, are we taking time out of our lives away from our families to go show a property all willy-nilly? Or are we taking the time to have a 30-minute conversation with a buyer about how I work, the value I bring to the transaction, here's the home buying process, and oh, by the way, if you're ready to get to work, I'm ready to work for you. We just need to go ahead and sign this to make it official. Because we wouldn't take a listing without a signed listing agreement. Why would we work with a buyer without a signed buyer's agreement? It's the same system, same process, same principle. It's the same principle. You have been listening to the Richful Thinking Podcast. I am your host, Rich Gannam. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've liked what you've heard, give us a 5-star review in the App Store. Give us a 5-star review in the podcast forum that you're listening. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. It is all about helping you build the best business that you can so that you can live the best life you deserve. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see and talk to you next time here on the Richful Thinking Podcast.